we're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We are providing basic education, adult literacy, sustainable agriculture, women's empowerment, and community development. Omar and I met in 2006, and our relationship blossomed to the point where he was able to share his hearts of heart with me. And in my travels back and forth from the United States to the Gambia, West Africa, in 2009 is when he basically let me know his heart of hearts.
Opportunity that they are seeing with the family.
Yeah.
That many people are coming there, helping them, and that made them greedy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They also want something. You see, this is Africa, so if you don't stand, fight your rights with all your documents, register it, people will come there one day.
He began to share with me some of his disappointments and concerns with trying to get Jufre Village, the family members, and also the other locals there in the village, trying to get their community developed, trying to get it upgraded. And so he said that he shared with me that some folks had come over and said that they were going to do, all of these developments, placed a check in somebody's hand, and they, didn't follow through.
You see, there was one lady here called Rosetta Geni. She came from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing the same thing with her, and she went to America and gained $3 million. I swear, for the people of Jupiter. She came there with the money, and the people who sponsored it. That was in 1998, and presented the money, the check to my mom. But after the meeting, she came and took the check and said, "We are going to cash the money for you." We never see her again.
Basically, our cousin George Haley also tried to get some assistance from the U.S. Embassy. They put together a program in which he showed me the proof of that, and that didn't go through.
And actually, it's better because, according to the story, he said he has sent money to the family, to the former government, so that they can come and build a mosque for the people. And the government came there. They started constructing the mosque up to half, and the money was misappropriated.
Okay.
So we believe that at least he tried something for the family.
So of course he was disheartened and wanted to see what I could do, or if I could do anything, or if I was even interested in doing anything to help the village raise their level of living.
And that's why I even want you to go with me to Jufure, so that you can see the present situation in Jufure now.
Okay.
And definitely we would like to take you as our partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that you know about that can. Anything that you know that can develop the family, bring more people into the village, you are welcome to do so.
Okay.
Yeah. We guarantee you 100%.
Okay.
And that's how we came about with Global Mission Society. I was advised to organize myself because I had started trying to do things on my own, out of my own pocket with myself and my clients.
Talking with the Thompsons here. Tina Thompson has been going overseas, blessing families in West Africa for the past 8 years, and I believe she's setting up to take her 9th journey. And to me, doing good is not just about your community. It's not just about where you live. It's about a spirit that even can cross oceans. And Tina, you've been doing that a long time, and I wanted to know what caused you to be a part of this movement.
Well, I am a 7th generation descendant of Kunta Kinte. Alex Haley is my 6th or 7th cousin, and that's what drove me over to Gambia to meet my family. I've been traveling to Gambia since 2006. I actually started my work in 2010 doing my mission, and I officially got registered as a nonprofit organization in 2012.
Well, Will Palmer was what, Alex Haley's grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
But it was really interesting watching Roots, especially Roots, the 2nd generation, because my grandfather and I watched it together. I was home teaching at the time.
Mm-hmm.
In his rocking chair, he said, "That's a lie. It didn't happen like that." And I said, "Well, Gramp, it's called artistic license when they're doing these movies and these books and they don't have all the facts. They will put in the parts that they don't have and insert things that would make sense under the circumstance."
Mm-hmm.
He used to chew on rag. He didn't chew tobacco or gum, but he sat there a little bit longer. He said, "They should have asked somebody."
Our ancestry, Omar and myself, we come from a rich heritage. And it was discovered in the 70s by the late, great Alex Haley. He done all of this extensive research to find out where our family roots began.
In fact, I sent a letter to Alex because I met him at a lecture at one of the Smithsonian museums here, and I said, as best I can guess, it was when they came out West Tennessee. When he came out scouting for land, that's probably when he met up with my grandmother's grandmother.
All I know is that I basically about what would everybody else know what I'm reading about. But I just know all I know is Alex Haley coming to get Uncle Junior. He ran across Uncle Junior in Nashville, and he knew that. He told Uncle Junior who his mama was, and her name was Edna Mother.
Now
he told he the one. He said, "Yeah, this is my mother's name." Then he called out who my grandmama was married to. He said she was married to Henry Braden. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we was related to. It wasn't nobody on the Brady side. It was everybody on my grandmama's side of the family, which was Murray. It's how we was related to Alex Haley and Chicken George and all them.
And so, in his research, he was able to track down through one word, Gambi Belongo. Through that word, he traced the Gambia River. And from that Gambia River, he came over and started telling the story, and he was guided to some griots who knew the story, who remembered that one of the slaves from Jufre village, from that area, was taken to the Americas.
And Tom would have been my father, great. He would have been my great great-grandfather, I believe. Because George Murray's father was, George Murray's son was Tom Murray.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because George Murray was Chicken George.
Right. His son was Tom Murray. He would have been not my grandfather. He would have been one of my great uncles.
And one day, Alex Haley was speaking at Fisk University, and he was doing some research, and he wound up knocking on my uncle's door, and that's how we found out we was related, and all the stuff came to light. Alex Haley, the one come found Uncle Junior. He traced Uncle Junior as being a second cousin of his or something.
So they told him the stories, and through his research and through the griot storytelling, that's how he was able to track it down. And he wrote a book, and then from his book he made a movie, and the actual movie, I guess, made him world famous, and the family, world famous throughout the African diaspora. And so so of course we're very proud, to be a part of that family tree. So in that's one of the reasons why we're trying to do what we can for this village, to uplift this village, because we want, and Omar, basically, his feelings before he passed away, his feelings was he wanted the village to reflect is their royalty. And so he want the village to reflect royalty. He left the dream with me, and so that's what I set out to do.
Joan, tell me a little bit about the work you've done prior to, and how you all came to work together, and some of the things that you all are able to do, some of the things you do specifically to help support this mission.
I wanted something to do when I retired, and Reverend Petty said, "You work with International?" I said, "Yes, I want to do that." So we had a project with Liberia, and we worked with the True Light Ministry in New Jersey, and from New Jersey we helped them with a container. So I was involved in putting that process together, doing the container, sending it over to Liberia. Then he told me about Tina's project, and I said, well, we can help. And I met with Tina, and Tina and I became, I guess, good friends, and we started working together and putting this project together.
And so we would get calls, of course, from people interested in going to the Gambia, and Tina was one of many people, just a person. And at some point, it turned in from just interest to a reality.
Yes.
And that doesn't always happen.
How well do we know?
So, I'm interested in, why did you get involved, and why do you think this is an important thing to do? Why are you committed to this work?
So I got involved. I met Tina at Antioch Baptist Church, and they were talking about some missions that they were doing overseas in Africa, and they presented the idea to me about doing a concert. And being in the area, I'm a gospel artist, and so I have connections with a lot of singers and friends who I knew once they heard the mission, they would jump right in and help me pull together this concert for what Tina's doing over in Africa. And I called my friends, and everybody, all of the artists said, hey, I'm in, I'll come be a part of the concert for free. And so now that we've done that, and the church has sent containers over there and goods, now we're definitely going over there to Gambia in 2016, and I'm bringing some of those singers with me, and man, we're gonna do it.
My experience in April 2016, which actually started in March, when one of my brothers, Rob Mercer, sent me a message asking me to call him. And I said, okay, like it was immediately he wanted me to call. So I called him and he asked me if I would like to go to Gambia, Africa. And I was like, what? Of course I want to go to Gambia. That would be awesome. But it was a part of a concert that he was doing. So he invited myself and my other brother, C.D. Porter, who's also a gospel recording artist, if we would be a part. And we immediately jumped at the opportunity to travel overseas and see the motherland. So we booked in April, and we started rehearsing music for the concert, and it was just an amazing time of preparation. Even the bond that I have with Rob and CD really strengthened during this time. So me, I don't like flying, and this is a long trip, and I began to pray hard because I was very nervous. I hate flying, but my wife was by my side praying the entire time, saying, baby, you're going to be all right. This is the Lord's work. You're going to be okay.
Are we singing it right? That's what I'm doing. Okay. Or you coming down? It's up to you. Yeah. Alright, so down both hands. Alright, yeah. Wow. New song in Gambia with Pastor Benson. With Pastor Benson. Yes. And the star. And the star. I tell you. Good stuff.
So in the preparation for the concert, we met with the pastor, and he actually gave us a tour, he gave us a tour of the town and introduced us to some people, and that was also incredible. And one of the things that I was most excited about the trip was the worship, because I've heard so much about how the worship in Africa is incredibly different versus how we worship here in the United States. God is their sole source for everything. They depend on God. They lean on God. They are truly walking by faith. And I had been hearing so much about that in that same vein from a lot of people. So as we got settled at the villa, had a great time. We're getting ready for our first rehearsal. So we get to the church, and the children, oh man, even as I'm thinking about it now, it could bring me to tears. The worship that the children had in just a rehearsal was amazing, and I did not want to leave there. We had an amazing time, like I said, just in the worship piece. And then after that, we prepared for the concert like the day after, and the musicians were great at the concert, the church was packed. It was incredible. That was awesome. The concert was beautiful. I mean, I still have footage on my video that I look at from time to time. But I tell you, the best part for me was going to the village, Jufre Village. That was the best part for me, because I got to see the work of God and how he was using Tina. It blew me away. The word talks about being our brother's keeper. And Jesus was also saying that when we do these to the least of these, when we feed the hungry and we clothe those who are naked, and what's happening is we are being him in the earth. And so when I saw Tina, oh man, I'm about to cry. When I saw Tina, she had all of these medical supplies, and she had clothes and gifts. So we're back at Jupiter Village, and I saw just these beautiful children and people coming out, and Tina was there, and Miss Joan was there, and Tony and my other brothers were there, and a few other people. Our tour guides were there, handing out the medical supplies and all of these items that Tina brought. I think she said she had like 6 crates full, maybe more, of stuff that she had shipped. So it was a blessing to this entire village for them to get that. And my prayer is for those of you who are watching this to please sow into Global Missions Society. The work that they are doing is incredible.
The work you've done prior to, and how you all came to work together, and some of the things that you all are able to do, some of the things you do specifically to help support this mission.
I wanted something to do when I retired, and Reverend Petty said, "You work with International?" I said, "Yeah, so I want to do that." So we had a project with Liberia, and we worked with the True Light Ministry in New Jersey, and from New Jersey we helped them with a container. So I was involved in putting that process together, doing the container, sending it over to Liberia. Then he told me about Tina's project. And I said, well, we can help. And I met with Tina, and Tina and I became, I guess, good friends. And we started working together and putting this project together. So it started with getting involved into mission work. And when I was introduced to Tina, that was the beginning of her putting together some events and fundraisers so that she could do a container to Gambia in West Africa. So we worked with putting on a couple of fundraisers. In fact, we had about 2 or 3 fundraisers that we did at church. One was a fundraiser that we did with music. And we had a number of musicians and people that came, and it was really a wonderful event. And that all worked out. So we were able to raise money to buy the container and get the container to go over to Africa. On that first trip with that container, Tina went with the container. I guess basically the container was sent, and then by the time 6 weeks later, she was over in Africa so she could meet the container and be able to divide the things up between the church, Glory Baptist Church over there, and with the village of Jafre. And then we took off, and here we go from Senegal to Gambia. So I'm thinking we're getting on this, ferry, and we're going to get on this wonderful little ferry, and then we're going to be in Gambia, and life is going to be great. But that's not the way it went. We got on this ferry with the car and everything on the ferry, and ferry goes to one stop and we get off, and then we had to get in a cab, and what is called a bush cab. And I wondered why they call it a bush cab, but I see why, because it's 1980s cars, and they load everything in it, and they put us all in this one little station wagon. It was like 6 of us or 7, this one little station wagon, and the suitcases were on top of it. It was hilarious. The pictures you're seeing us driving, going away with these bags. And we got to the village though, but it was surreal at the village. The children are just so wonderful. They saw Tina, and it was like, Tina, Tina. You thought she was a movie star. It was all about Tina, which was really good because they were just wonderful. They crowded all around, and they were so happy. And then we started giving out the things, and oh my goodness, it was like somebody's going to get hurt if we give out the. But they were so excited, so they had toys and they had candy, and then we had the other things for the mothers. And I sat around and I talked with some of the mothers, and this one lady, she handed me her baby, and I think that's what really got me on this trip. She handed me her baby, and her baby was full of wingworms.
I hadn't seen ringworms, I guess, in, I don't know, 40 years. I don't know. It's just something you don't see. And I said, my goodness, it's like going backwards. And this baby had all these wingworms. And I said, wow, they don't have anything to put on his wingworms. I'm like, this is what it's really all about. And she was telling me, she doesn't have medication for a baby. And then the other one was sitting there, she's telling me her mouth was hurting. And she says, and we don't have dentists. And I said, oh my goodness, there's no medication for them to take. And she said, there's no Tylenol, no nothing. And so we did have some of those kinds of things that we did take with us. So we were able to give them that. But trying to distribute this stuff and give to everybody, it was a lot of people in the village. That was the part that really got to me, knowing that they didn't have the medical kinds of things, and they really didn't have, good running water. They had running water, but it came out of a tank, I believe, at the village of Jufre, where Kunta Kinte's village, Omar, was in charge of the village. He was like the elder of the village. But it was just a part of the children and the ladies in the village, and just how they had to overcome some of the things that they were doing. Well, as I can say, Global Mission is all about giving. And right now we need your gifts. We need money so that we can ensure that they do some of the things that will get them prepared to, like the crafts. So they can do that, and they can make crafts, and they can sell crafts, and that'll bring money into the village. And they have a chicken farm, and they can get chickens, they can sell eggs. All this will bring money into the village, and then they will be able to get purified water. Maybe they'll be able to get some of the things that they really don't have. And the medicines, the medical supplies would be a wonderful thing, and I think they would need that. So give as much as you can to Global Mission Society. Thank you.
And Tony, I know your personality generally are real quiet. Tell me what it's like when your wife is away during that time and you're thinking about maybe, some of the things that she may encounter or the stories she's told you to come back to say, listen, I'm going with my woman this time.
Yes, you're exactly right. It came to this trip I'm going to make this next year. I was concerned about her safety, every time she went, even the first time. I'm concerned the whole time she's there. And she'll tell you that. I'll call her. Very expensive, every day we talk, not long because it's so expensive. But her safety is my main concern. So when I go this time, I want to check things out.
Yes, good evening. My name is Tony Thompson, husband, and a supporter of my wife, Justina Thompson's mission, which is called Global Missions. We'll be speaking on a trip that we took in 2016 to Gambia, West Africa, to the village of Jufre. It took me almost 10 years to go, seeing her passion, sort of like encouraged me to go and see what she's doing over there. So we left in out of, Dulles, and it took us roughly, seemed like 24 hours. We went to the east coast of Africa and back by way of Mali and then to Gambia. But the trip was really a blessing. We got in to Senegal, Dakar, Senegal, on the morning of, I think, the 11th. But anyway, we traveled through Senegal and we saw how, it reminded me of like a New York, a small New York, because it was a fairly large city, I felt, at the time. And I was able to see the vendors and so forth. And the people were very friendly, and it was a blessing. From there, from Dakar, we traveled through the city, we stayed overnight, maybe like 2 nights in Dakar. But while there, we were able to see the different tourist spots, like the point of no return. We didn't have time to really go to the island, Glory Island. But, we heard a lot of people talk to us about it. Okay, and we were able to later on, meet up with our fellow comrades, Rob Mercer, Javon, and C.D. Porter, some local musicians and artists that met us over there. We traveled from there to Gambia by way of a bush taxi, like Ms. Jones said, and that was very interesting. We went through towns and various towns, and we saw how they live. And you know, from day to day, you know, their travel is a little different. You see the different the animals that they use for farming and all. They have little stores and so forth. And it was really interesting. You know, it took us a while, but we made it. Once upon reaching Gambia finally, after I guess maybe 7, 8 hours, you know, we checked into our nice little villa we had. My wife had prepared one of her friends, volunteers had found us a very nice place. Beautiful, beautiful. We'll probably have pictures of it. And we went to a concert, and that's where really I was able to see how they worship the Lord just as we do, and I felt really comfortable. Very spiritual, very spiritual. The people were very welcoming. It was like being at home, you know, and we had a great time there. And the guys, Rob Mercer, C.D. Porter, and Brother Javon Inman, they did a performance along with the choir. They had a couple of rehearsals, and it seemed as though they already had sang there. And they were very, very good and very welcoming for us, and that was a blessing. And that was on the Friday before we went to the village. So, you know, we called it a night on the, I think it was the 13th. Anyway, on the 15th, we went to the village, and that was the part that really was very touching for me. And I could see how my wife was her heart was pulled towards the brought her passion out, because from the time we got there, the kids, we almost hit the kids. They were trying to wave and say just hello, and they were running beside the van, and it was just, you could feel their love. And they already knew my wife from 10 years of going prior to that. So like Joan said, she was like a superstar or whatever, you know, over there. So we unloaded the van with all the products we had taken over there, toiletries, first aid. I mean, the clinic they had, they really didn't even have Band-Aids. And so the young lady, the nurse said we were right on time because they had ran out of Band-Aids. Something that we really wouldn't think about running out of. These people are really in need of so much. And, you know, once we got to the village, it was just too different. We had a setup to where, you know, we had all the kids come out, and adults as well, to like pass out the items. I mean, just for candy. A candy bar, they were like jumping up and just, I couldn't believe it, just for candy. And I mean, and you give it to them and they were like crying, it's like, thank you, you know, for that. Adults, they don't even have painkillers, so they have to suffer just for toothache. They can't even, you know, they don't have anything for toothache. They don't have anything for like allergies, sinuses, minor things that we take for granted, you know. And that's why, you know, I feel like, you know, we as people can do better to help them. I mean, you know, if they really need it, they really do. I saw it firsthand for myself. I know people see things on TV, well, they're not doing it. They really need a lot of help. You know, I'm saying they don't even sleep on nice beds or whatever. They sleep on these thin mattresses. If a mattress at all, they sleep on concrete floors. You know, matter of fact, on the way to the village, I saw people sleeping on those old country corrugated roofs. They had the metal, they were sleeping on that at 90 to 100 degrees. So they really don't have a whole lot, you know. And like I say, we passed out all the different items we had taken, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and I mean things, some of them they never even seen a toothbrush, you know. So I mean basic everyday items we take for granted. And the thing about it, wherever I went, they had a smile on their face. You know, and they would speak. And like I said, it wasn't just the kids, the adults would speak to you. And that's something that, I mean, you know, you just have to, you know, you get used to it, but I mean, it brought me like the tears because you know, like I say, what you see on TV is nothing like what you say. And another thing, people talk about, you know, when I got back from, did I see monkeys, did I see this? No, it was a beautiful place. You know, I didn't see any of those things. On the way there, you know, it's a long, maybe 15 miles, but you're going 15 miles an hour, so it may take you an hour to get there to the village. But you know, once you were there, you know, that's when it really set in what's going on, what it's really about, what she was about, because she's been going for years, like I said, and her passion is just unbelievable. So we stayed till about, I guess, maybe 2 or 3, because we had to catch a ferry to come back. And you know, it was interesting because you have, like Joan said, animals, you know, and that was my first ferry ride, honestly, to be honest. I've been on cruises, but the ferry ride was a little different, but you know, it was fun, you know what I'm saying? And just see how people they don't have cars, so you have to carry their products or whatever they have for as far as merchandise, you know, across the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean at that. And once they get to where they're going, which we were going back to Banjul, in Gambia, we went back, and like I said, the concert was just unbelievable. And it's unbelievable. You have to go for yourself to really see. And that's what really would make you change your perspective of Africa and the people, and you know how you can help make a difference in someone's life. It's not a whole lot of money, but you have to, you know, really give it, because they appreciate everything. Like I mentioned before, Band-Aids, dress, all these things you wouldn't believe that they don't have. They don't have. And the clinic was probably a quarter of the size of this room. You know, they didn't have really a room to even house a person like overnight, or you know, what we would say compatible to what we have here. So I would say, you know, donate because there's a serious need to help these people. You know, and I mean, I really feel bad I waited 10 years to go, because I mean, it took me that long, but I mean, it really feel bad for taking so long to go. But help, donate, whatever you can do, because they have a serious need, and they would really appreciate it. Like I say, the loving people. They call Gambia the smiling coast or something like that. And the people smile all the time, and I mean, it's, like I say, I've never experienced anything like it. And my wife and I, of course, I thought after the first visit to the village, I thought that was it. So 2 days later, I'm back again. I returned. So she got me real good, but it was okay, because we went back. This time around, we took materials for the Women's Craft Empowerment Group. And they were going to be learning to sew